when you're looking to get a boundary survey, what happens when you get a proposal from a surveyor, maybe more than one surveyor, and you only look at the price tag? What's the problem with that? I want to tell you a story that'll help answer that question. It happened a couple weeks ago. It's a true story. It's really happened. So we got a call from a client, and she had recently sold about 90 acres of a nut tree orchard outside of Ripon, California. It's a small town near our office. And I didn't get all of the details about the dispute, but she was in a dispute with her new neighbor, the family that bought the 90-acre orchards. She still owned a smaller, it's about a 10-acre parcel, she still owned, that was surrounded on three sides by this property that she had sold. And there was a dispute over what had been sold and where the boundaries were, and there was a lawsuit. And so by the time the client, the potential client, contacted me, the lady that had sold the 90 acres, the lawsuit they'd reached a tentative settlement agreement. And as part of the conditions of the settlement agreement, the parties agreed to get a boundary survey, and they were going to split the cost of that boundary survey. And the goal was to figure out where the boundaries were between the 10-acre parcel and the orchard that had been sold, and figure out how much land was actually in the orchard. So that was part of the settlement agreement. And so when the lady that sold the 90 acres contacted me initially, she said, "Hey, I need to get a boundary survey. I've got 45 days to get it done. That was part of the settlement agreement. Can you help?" And we said, "We'd love to help. Let me take a look at your property and at the property you sold and get an idea what we're dealing with." And so we took a look. It was some old property. It hadn't ever been surveyed in its current configuration, and there was some surveys in the area. So it was doable, but it was a couple days of work in the field and a couple days of work in the office. And she was in a hurry. She needed the survey done in 2 or 3 weeks to try and meet this deadline that was part of the settlement agreement. So we told her, I can't remember our exact number. It was near $20,000. It might have been 18, somewhere around there. I can't remember. But we told her $18,000, and we said, we'll do the boundary survey. We'll set your property corners, and we will file a copy of our survey with the county, and we will also give you a nice wall size map with a high resolution aerial photo background behind it that shows the property boundaries. We'll give that to you. We'll give it to the neighbors. Everybody will know where the physical property lines are at on the ground. So we sent her our proposal, and she got back to me and she said, "Hey, this looks great. This is exactly what we need. Let me get it to the other side's attorney, and then I'll let you know what happened." So she followed up with me about a week later, and she said, "Hey," she said, I'd really, you guys have been great. I'd really like to have you do the work. I thought you guys put together a good proposal." She said the neighbor's attorney thought you guys were too expensive, and so he went out and got a couple more proposals. And she said both those proposals were half, so they're about $10,000. She said, "And I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why these other surveyors are half. I'd really like you to do the work." She said, would you do the survey for half, what you told me?" And so I told her no. I said, "I won't do the survey for half." I said, I don't do boundary surveys on low bid, especially when there's been a lawsuit. I said, it's just too easy to cut corners. And I said, I'm disappointed that your neighbor's attorney is out there trying to find the cheapest survey he can get under these circumstances. That doesn't seem like a very good idea. She said, she says, "I agree with you." She said, would you mind? Would you look at the other two survey proposals for me and let me know, if you see any problems? I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's no problem." I said, "It'll just, it won't take very long." I said, "Go ahead, shoot me over the proposals. I'll take a look at them, and I'll let you know what I think." So she did. She sent me the two proposals, and I'm that's something that we offer to do regularly for our clients. It helps keep my competitors honest. So, but people rarely take me up on that offer. But this time she did. She took me up on the offer. So I think we'd earned some trust with her there just through the process. So she sent me the other two proposals. So I took a look at them, and sure enough, they were both about half. So one was $10,000, one was $8,000. And they were both from companies that I knew here in our area. So one company is actually, I know the surveyor there, and I think the company, they do pretty good work. As a general rule, they're a fairly reputable firm. The other firm just has a reputation of being a little more sketchy. So I wasn't surprised that they had come in with a much lower number. But I was a little bit surprised that this other fairly reputable firm that I knew had come in at half my number. That surprised me a little bit, just given the amount of work that was involved and the fact that there was already a lawsuit. Now, I do know that the reputable firm happened to do quite a bit of work with the law firm that was representing the neighbor. So I thought, well, maybe they were giving him the good client discount, potentially. So then I got printed the proposals out, and I started to read through them because I needed to let this gal know, if they were comparable to what we were offered. And so I want to tell you what I found in the proposals, and it was interesting because I found the same problems, same 3 problems in both proposals. Not problems per se, but just significant differences between their proposals and our proposals. So I want to explain what those were because I think there's an important lesson there. So here's the first thing I noticed about both my competitors' proposals. Neither one provided a schedule. So there was no mention of a delivery date or any discussion of schedule whatsoever in either proposal. I didn't know, based on the proposals, if they were going to have that work done in 2 weeks by the deadline or if it was going to take them 6 months, and it wasn't clear in either proposal. So that was a problem, I thought. The second thing I noticed is neither of the proposals included what I would call an exhibit for the landowners. So both proposals, we're going to do the boundary survey, we're going to set property corners, and we're going to file a technical map with the county. But the technical map wasn't really going to communicate to the landowners themselves where the boundaries were at on the ground. And given that there was already a fight, right? They're already fighting. I thought that was a really important part of our proposal, right? We were going to deliver a couple wall-size maps with an aerial photo background with the boundaries overlaid so everybody could see where's the well, where's the road, where's the house, where's the orchard in relation to the property lines. So neither of the other proposals included that. And then the third problem was when I went down and actually looked at the fee, the cost. So on one proposal it said, $8,000, the other proposal it said $10,000, but in both proposals, if you read the fine print by the cost, it said that the fees in the proposals were estimated fees, and both surveyors wanted to bill time and materials. Now, I have some other videos that explain exactly what that means, but let me just give you the short summary. What that means is they hadn't guaranteed the client a price. They said, this is what we think it's going to cost, but we're going to charge you whatever it ends up costing, right? And so I called the client back and I was explaining the differences to her. And I just told her, I said, look, I have no idea what these 2 companies are going to end up charging you when they're all done with their work. I said, it could be my price or it could be double my price. And you don't know. They haven't guaranteed you that they're going to perform for a certain fee. I said, so they didn't give you a schedule. They're not going to give you the exhibit that you need to see where the boundaries are at on the ground. And you don't know how much this is really going to cost. I said, in essence, what I think they've done is they've given you a minimum. They've given you a minimum cost, and it could be much larger than that. It could be significantly more than the price I gave you. In our proposal, the fee that we provided the client was what I call a lump sum fixed fee. So I had essentially promised this client that I would get this work done for a fixed amount, right? And that she would not be charged above that. So what are the lessons? I was really disappointed in this attorney that was working for the neighbors. And I know the law firm. They're a fairly reputable law firm in Stockton. I was really disappointed that he just focused on that dollar amount in those 2 competitor proposals, and he didn't look at any of the context. I'll be honest, I don't even think he read the rest of the proposals. I think he just zeroed in on that number, and that's all he was worried about. And he was really doing a disservice to his client, right? Because here's what's going to happen. They're gonna hire one of those other 2 firms to do that survey, and they're not going to get what they really need to understand where the boundaries are in relation to what's on the ground. And these people are going to be in another fight. And I don't know if it's going to be 6 months down the road or 6 years down the road or 20 years down the road, but at some point that fight's coming, right? Because the attorney wasn't interested in actually solving the client's problem. He didn't care about getting a quality survey, right? He was trying to find the cheapest solution he could find. And that's, that's not what you hire an attorney to do for you, right? All we're going to do is waste money and perpetuate a problem. So what are the lessons? Number one, and this is the key, right? You can't just look at the price tag. So imagine now you're going to go in to buy a new car or a new pickup truck, and you go down to the car dealer, and it's got on the sticker on the price tag on the window of the car, it says low monthly payment, $400 a month. And then you go to the next car and it says low monthly payment, $300 a month. Well, you just say, well, I want the cheapest car I can find. So you go and you buy the car that's $300 a month, right? There's a couple problems with that, right? Okay, number one, the monthly payment doesn't tell you anything about what the total cost of the car is, right? All that tells you is what the monthly payment is. Okay, so that's one problem. You don't really understand the total price. The second problem is you got to compare what's in one car with the other car, right? So even if they're the same model of car, if one car has 20,000 miles and the other car has 250,000 miles, that's gonna be a huge difference, right? On the quality of the car that you're gonna get, how much usable life the car has left, right? If one car's four-wheel drive and the other car isn't four-wheel drive, that makes a difference. And so you can imagine if you had hired an expert to help you buy a car and he just went down and he just picked a car based on the lowest monthly payment on the sticker and he didn't ask any of those other questions, you'd be disappointed. You're not gonna make a good purchase decision there, right? And that's essentially what this attorney did. So you can't just look at the price tag when you're looking for a boundary survey. So you got to ask a couple of questions, right? 2 or 3 questions. Number one, what's the actual total cost, right? So in this particular situation, they hadn't provided that. They didn't give her a total cost. They gave her an estimated minimum. That's what they gave her. Okay. Secondly, what's included for the fee, right? So in my proposal, I was going to provide a work product that I thought was actually going to help the neighbors understand where the boundary was on the ground. My 2 competitors weren't going to do that. They were going to file a technical document with the county that neither one of the landowners was probably qualified to understand, right? Read and understand. And then finally, third, does the service or the work product that you're going to get meet your goals, right? You need to ask that. And in this particular case, I don't think it was. I don't think either of my competitors was actually going to help these 2 landowners and their attorneys fix the problem, which was the dispute over where the boundaries of these parcels were. So when you're looking for something like a boundary survey, and this applies in other areas of life too, right? Any high value, large purchase that's fairly complicated, it's not a commodity. You really have to do your homework, and you have to be careful how you comparison shop. I'm not even saying that I have a problem with people comparison shopping, but you need to be able to understand exactly what you're paying for, what the total cost is, and what you're going to get, and if it's going to solve your problem, right? So go back to the car example. I've got a young lady that works for me. She just got she rented a house up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And it's going to snow. It looks like we're going to have a pretty snowy winter up in the Sierra. And so she went and bought a new car. She got a 4-wheel drive, right? And that's good. That's what she needed. So she found a product that was going to meet her particular needs, right? And if you're not careful, you go down to the car dealership and they say, somebody could have sold her a 2-wheel drive, 2-door convertible, and it might be a nice car, but it's not going to solve her particular needs, right? And so you want to work with a surveyor that's going to ask questions. I talk about that in some other videos. Ask questions, understand exactly what it is you need, and then is going to deliver the service or the product to meet your needs.